Order the regular meeting dated Monday, February 15th, 2021 at 6:03 p.m. Catherine would call the roll.
Trustee Lineham.
Here.
Trustee Sella.
Here.
Trustee Wood. Trustee Mahoney. Here. Trustee Andreessen. Trustee Coonsey. And President Miller.
Here. All right, we're going to bypass the Pledge of Allegiance. We have public comment on agenda items only. Does anybody want to address us this evening? No? Okay. We'll move on to the consent agenda. We have 4 items on here. Somebody want to make a motion to approve the consent agenda? And yes, we do have to read these.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda. Item A, motion to approve the regular village board meeting minutes dated February 1st, 2021. Item B, motion to approve an ordinance authorizing abatement of the tax levy for general obligation fund 2012A, general obligation bond 2012B, 2012 TIF revenue bonds, Route 25 TIF, and general obligation 2015 and general obligation 2016 for the Village of East Dundee, Kane, and Cook County, Illinois. Item C, motion to approve a resolution for construction on state highways. And item D, motion to approve a resolution approving an intergovernmental agreement between the state of Illinois, Department of Transportation, and the Village of East Dundee for Route 72 and Christina Drive EDP grant.
Well done, thank you. Do we have a second on that?
Second.
Kathleen?
So if I could, this is Greg. When the roll call is taken on the consent agenda, please call President Miller's vote, as well as if we only have 4 elected officials here, then all will have to vote. I do not see any requirement in my brief review of the property tax code that requires a supermajority requirement for the abatement, but we do need 4 positive votes to pass any of these ordinances or resolutions on the consent agenda.
Good. Jeff, did you have a question?
Well, yeah, I've got a question concerning the intergovernmental agreement item, and I also got a question on the abatement. So we want to just discuss these before we vote them in, or do we want to just do them individually?
Well, it would make more sense, I think, to discuss them before we vote it.
Well, I've only got, well, I can say the other 2 can pass. Well, specifically on the intergovernmental agreement, I see that we're going down from 2 million to 1.11. Whatever, simply because of
Trident?
Yeah, Trident pulled out. The question I have is, did we afford them any monies before they decided to pull out? I mean, I know that since it's in Palumbo's TIF.
I don't believe Trident was seeing any funding on this, and I do believe that Speedway is picking up the remainder of the TIF.
Well, and that was the other question that I had then, is since they're doing that and we're in a revenue sharing arrangement with Speedway, it's pretty much us who are going to pick up the difference of that grant. So I'm wondering if any of that can be made up through TIF money.
I have a brief history on this, and it's been going on for about 4 years, so it sounds repetitive, but we entered the IGA, or the development agreement, with Speedway when we had no grant funding, but we said that we would try to secure some grant funding. So the agreement there was Speedway would get 41% of sales tax back until they reached 2.5 million, or for 15 years. So we were able to get $1.1 million in grant funding, which ended up reducing the 2.1 to 1.4. About a year into the process, Pale Land said Trident Defense is going to be relocating and expanding. Let's try adding them to the grant. So we went through the process to add them to the grant, but they never ended up relocating. So we had to contact IDOT and say, they're not coming. And IDOT said, okay, that's fine. We'll go back to your original sponsor, who was National Tool. So at one time we had 2 sponsors, which increased the grant to 2 million. Now we have just the original sponsor at the 1.1 million. The TIF money is sitting in the Palumbo Cal Land Park. So 90% of that already goes to Pale Land.
Right.
So there really is there's only that 10% TIF money that the village retains, plus
Well-
all the 59% of the sales tax generated by Speedway. Does that answer your question?
It does, but given that the signal services both the PAL land and Plody for the Caterpillar, I'm wondering why we wouldn't have been able to get maybe a little more than the 10% that the PAL TIF would allow by counting it towards the Plody TIF or the Caterpillar TIF.
Now Caterpillar's development agreement takes care of the fourth leg of the intersection that covers Caterpillar. So that's actually separate from this EDP. This EDP grant is the first three legs. Caterpillar came in about a year ago. So there are separate projects, but I'm not sure if I understand what you mean on us getting money.
Just to be clear, I don't think the village is expending any funds on this intersection at all.
Well,
No, we're just
Yeah.
rebating back through sales taxes that are earned at the Speedway location.
right, which
And
means
they
we're
can only-
foregoing revenue.
Yes. So, and we were doing that whether or not we had a grant. So now we have a grant, we have to give less funding back
Right.
than we would otherwise.
No, I understand. I'm just wondering if we could, I don't want to say manipulate, but if we could, massage the TIFs, then apply that signal to the CAT TIF, because I realize that the fourth leg is going to be on the CAT TIF now, but it's the same signal, it's the same intersection. So, you're splitting the costs, okay. But if that's how it is, I guess that's how it is.
I just don't understand your question, Trustee Lineham. I'm sorry. I'm confused.
No, I'm just wondering, I mean, we're going to be expending, or we're going to be rebating back to Speedway an amount equal to $900,000 or 1.4 million or whatever it is, which exceeds the cost beyond the grant for the light signal, which I don't understand why we would be doing that. But what I'm wondering is, of that money that we're going to eventually be giving them back in revenue, will any of it come back to us in the way of TIF funds? But if we only get the 10% that's coming off of the PAL land, I guess, then that's my answer.
When the TIF is over, that PAL land will no longer retain that TIF property taxes. It would be returned to the right taxing bodies.
Right.
So the village will actually get some that way, but primarily the school districts and the other taxing bodies will benefit. And if it was undeveloped, they would basically receive nothing. So we are making, through the TIF, an investment towards the other taxing bodies at the end of the TIF. But any TIF generated in the Terra Business Park, 90% goes back to PAL land. That's agreement from 1997.
But I mean, the net effect of that whole deal then is actually going to cost us money, is my point. And it's not just TIF money that we're going to be foregoing. This is actual revenue that would be coming into the town by way of tax revenue sales tax that's going back to Speedway beyond any benefit that we get from the TIF. So that's why I'm wondering if we could.
I guess my question is, if I understand this, and correct me if I'm wrong, this was the agreement that was agreed to between us and Speedway. This is the agreement that was agreed to between us and Altoffer. And is the suggestion now that we go back and open that up and try to renegotiate the contract? Or are you talking about some kind of eternal accounting where we just take money from one TIF and put it into another so that we have more money?
No, I'm just suggesting that of the money that we're going to have to be giving, in the amount of monies that will end up going back to Speedway in the form of revenue sharing for property tax, 41% or whatever it is, that could be made up with TIF dollars that would come in if this light were actually counted towards the Caterpillar TIF as opposed to the Palumbo TIF.
I may see your point, but again, this was all negotiated as part of the Speedway deal.
I know, and I'm just wondering if it's, you know, if that's,
So
if what I'm suggesting is,
how would we undo and or change that?
I don't know. That's my question. Can-
They're also in two different TIF districts. We tried to expand the Dundee Crossing TIF district for Caterpillar, but we ended up having to create a new one because we couldn't meet the eligibility requirement for expansion. But it ended up being to our benefit to create a new TIF district because we get the 23 years on the Caterpillar property.
Right.
I think I think the
My
other thing.
thought was that since the intersection is right on the cusp of both pieces of property between both districts, you know, is it a problem to count the expenses that are necessary to put that signal in against the one TIF as opposed to the other? I mean, they serve the same intersection is my point.
If the intersection and or the street light was a revenue producing thing, then I don't know, maybe you could think about it, but no, it's not. I mean, I think the way that we have to look at this is that, first of all, this is something that was a lengthy negotiation that has already been agreed to, signed off, and everybody's built their buildings. But secondly, what that intersection does that we have gotten grant money to pay for and have gotten Speedway to pay for the rest of, and Altdorfer to pay for the fourth leg, is that opens up vast stretches on both the north and the south side of Route 72 that were inaccessible before, that now are those properties there that didn't have a road in some cases are going to be ripe for development. And I think businesses will be moving in there that will be revenue producing. So I think that's the way that I look at it.
Yeah.
You know, you've got with the attraction on the Palumbo side, somebody can come in and put in a transmission repair shop, or somebody can come in and put something else because now there's an intersection that they can get in and out of. And the same thing on the Altdorfer, as this ring road completes the connection between Route 72 and Pamonte Drive, that opens up a vast amount of ploding property there that is currently not in the village, that could be annexed to the village, that then could be revenue producing, because now they have access to both Pamonte Drive and Route 72 with an interchange. I think that's the bigger picture to look at.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's, of course, yeah, further down the road.
Yep. Okay. You had a second question?
I did. As far as the abatement on the, was it the, on the debt structure that we have? This is, we're doing this simply because the county or the state is already taking out the necessary monies to service that debt. And so no further amount is needed, correct?
No, since these are general obligation bonds, the county would automatically levy these dollar amounts from our residents. But since we have dedicated revenue within our general fund and TIF funds that we have earmarked to make those debt service payments, we don't need additional property taxes to levy. So we're telling the county, don't levy these on the residents. That's what we're doing with this abatement ordinance.
Okay, just wanted to.
And we do this pretty much every year. So
Yeah, just wanted to clear it up for, and then also to, just to let whoever else is going to view this, the agreement that we have with state signed for that, it's a permit waiver for any of the right-of-way work that has to be done. That, I'm sorry?
You were breaking up there. I think we missed the first couple of sentences.
Yeah, I just got a message across my screen that said, no, but the other item that was on the agenda that talked about the 2-year permit that we have to file with the state in the event any work is being done on the state right away. Is this something we have to do every 2 years? I mean, it's more housekeeping than anything else.
It's housekeeping.
That's correct.
Just wanted to let anybody who else is going to view this tape or whatever who's listening in know what that's all about.
Okay. If there aren't any more questions, then Kathleen, and I will vote on this. Make sure you call me.
Trustee Lineham,
Yes.
Trustee Sella,
Yes.
Trustee Wood, Trustee Mahoney,
Yes.
Trustee Andreessen, Trustee Coonsey, and President Miller.
Yes. All right, we have no other agenda items. You have the financial reports in your packet. We'll go around with the other trustees and staff for reports. We'll go in order. Trustee Sella.
No report.
Trustee Lineham.
I have nothing. No report.
Trustee Mahoney.
No report.
Do we have any other board members on with us? Okay, village administrator.
Just to remind you that, we will have our budget workshop. Kathleen has given me some ideas as well. So thank you for that, Kathleen. And that's March 15th. You must be there, please. Thank you.
Good, thank you.
Oh, and thank you, Public Works, for pushing all of this snow.
Yeah.
Can you make it go away instead, though?
I still like the idea of heated blowers around the perimeter of the community,
There you go.
heated fans.
Just put us in an igloo.
Well ventilated igloo, but yeah.
All right, building
Thank you.
department. Chris in building.
No report.
All right, village attorney.
No report. Thank you.
Sure, public works.
Nothing other than snow, snow, snow.
I saw your report that you guys were loading salt. Are we gonna have an adequate supply this year?
We're good through this event tonight and possibly another one, but we've got a number of loads already on order. It was communicated to us that Cargill is a little backlogged right now with orders around the region. So at this point, I think we're in good shape. And I think we've assisted with 72 on a couple of occasions. So if we needed a load of salt, we may need to give them a call, or we could certainly give them a call to get a truckload from them, assuming they have it themselves. So
Sounds good, thank you. Village engineer.
No report. Thank you.
Police chief. George, you're on mute.
Sorry, no report.
Very good. I had to say, I had a chuckle out of the bi-weekly meeting police report with the incident with the handicap parking spot in the front of somebody's car from one of our local establishments. It was not funny, but it was funny the way that it was written. So appreciate that. All
Hey, I
right.
got a quick question for Chief, between Chief and Jennifer. Have we received delivery on those two cruisers yet?
Yes, they were just received this week.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
All right, very good. Now we have, we'll turn to public comment on non-agenda items. Anybody out there would like to discuss anything? Chris? Good evening.
Yeah, good morning, or good evening. Chris Caius, County Board member, District 23, and I live in Algonquin. Just a couple of notes. I received a note Saturday from Chairman Sanchez of the, he's the Health Department Chair, Health Committee Chair, Public Health Committee Chair. The county's received 52,595 doses of the vaccine and administered 50,612 as of Saturday. So mostly we're just waiting for more vaccine to arrive, and we have more than 40 cooperating facilities to help us distribute it once we do get the vaccine. And secondly, I think the path, now that there's a lot of snow on the path, sooner or later, maybe you guys will be plowing the entire path. I think that's going forward. Is it Phil that's working with the Forest Preserve, or the, yeah?
yes, the last communication I had was it has to go through their committees, and it hadn't happened as of a week or two back. So
It is moving slowly through there, so all government stuff is slow, as you know, so.
great.
Can
Thank
I
you.
ask a question about that item? I don't know who, it may have originated here, I don't know, but the fact is that that's county property, and I would like to know that if, in the event that someone were to slip and fall, that the East Dundee is indemnified from any liability because of county property not either being maintained properly or poorly maintained. Is that the case?
I don't know that I can give you a definitive answer on the final, how it'll end up eventually, I know that we've talked to our insurance carrier and they're okay with it there will be some caveat, I believe, that it will be owned by the county, but the village will be maintaining it. So there may be a dual responsibility. I can't say that I can speak to it.
Yeah, see, that to me is unacceptable. I mean, the idea of plowing this path really just in and of itself is just kind of a little off the wall. But is every other municipality where the path leads along the river doing the same thing?
You are the first that's asked to do this. Yeah. So.
Okay, well,
I
really have a problem with Public Works doing any work on it that's going to, put us in a liability issue.
If I can add a quick comment, Trustee Lineham, in response to your question, I know that if the Forest Preserve District were to grant permission to us at the commission level, then their staff and their legal staff administrative staff, executive staff would draft some type of an agreement that we would likely bring back and present for consideration to the village board. So
this would be an intergovernmental agreement that both.
Correct. Yes.
Right. You'll have the final say, of course, on whether you want to agree to it or not.
Discussion about liability in there.
Yes.
Trustee Lineham and the village board, there would be liability would be answered in there. So we would either recommend that we proceed or not proceed based on some of those liability concerns. But we don't know what the Forest Preserve yet may ask of us. Like, for example, with the striping we put on the other portion of the bike path and the proximity of the caboose, we assume some liability there and some long-term maintenance as part of that agreement. So I would envision a similar agreement here, which the board could either accept or reject based on whatever the county is proposing.
Well, I would think it'd be a prudent thing to do to wait to see what their position on it is before we proceed with any sort of plowing.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes,
Okay.
Yeah,
we're
this wasn't-
not plowing
I
the
didn't-
bike path.
Yeah. I'm just, bringing you the update, which is still working through. You won't be plowing, yeah.
Yeah, we're not.
Yeah.
Okay. Good
Okay.
enough.
Anything else, Chris?
No, that's it. Thank you.
All right, very good. We have, let's see, that was it. Public comments. Anybody else want to address us? We have no executive session this evening, so at this point I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
Very good. Kathleen?
Trustee Lineham,
Yes.
Trustee Sella,
Yes.
Trustee Mahoney,
Yes.
and President Miller.
Yes. All right, very good, folks. Thank you all for your
All right.
time. We will see you next week.
Okay.
Thank you.
Stay warm.
Take care, everyone.
Stay safe. Yes.
Bye-bye.